This is Seema Chetal. I am the host of the Gala Committee. And on behalf of the entire Vibha family, it's my pleasure to welcome you. There are 2,000 Vibha volunteers, advisory board members, and our staff, and all of us are very happy to have you here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Seema. And a special shout out to our wonderful sponsors, speakers, and performers. Vibha's goal over the next 5 years is to ensure quality public education for 10 million children through its 6 key programs. You will hear about 3 such program partners during the gala today, along with amazing keynote speakers and entertainers from comfort of your own home. So sit back and enjoy the show. Let's hear from our advisory board members.
Hi, my name is Ron Victor, and I am the chairman of Vibha. Over the past 29 years, we have had a single vision to ensure every underprivileged child attains his or her right to health, education, and opportunity. To that end, we have impacted over 2.3 million children to date and plan to serve an additional 10 million more over the next 5 years.
Hi, my name is Shri Dodani, and I'm honored to be on the board of Vibha. I was first introduced to Vibha during its early days and have seen the large volunteer team work tirelessly, doing outstanding work for more than 2 decades. As a believer in early and strong education being the number one thing that uplifts an individual and society to perform at their best, I was most interested in an all-volunteer charity focused on children's education like Vibha.
Hi, my name is B.V. Jagadish. I've been associated with Vibha for the last 1.5 to 2 years. I'm extremely excited to be associated with this wonderful organization for one simple reason. The fact that they have funded programs that has the ability to make public school education equal or better than the private school education.
Greetings. I'm Professor Jagdish Sheth. If you take a grain of wheat and make it into a loaf of bread, the value add is only 3 times. The cost of wheat is about 1/3 the cost of loaf. If you take a rough diamond, cut it, polish it, a good diamond cutter will increase the value of the rough diamond to a finished diamond about 15 to 20 times. If you take a human being, nurture, mentor, educate, the value add is infinite. And that's the mission of Vibha. Vibha's mission is to transform millions of public school children from being ordinary to extraordinary people through quality education. I hope you will support Vibha. Thank you.
Vibha is an organization that's been continuously working for the empowerment and education of underprivileged children since 1991. So come, let's join hands with Vibha. Tvameva vidya dravidam tvameva, tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. Tvameva vidya dravidam tvameva, tvameva sarvam mama deva deva.
शहर के वो उस मोड़ तक, इस छोर से उस छोर तक, शहर के वो उस मोड़ तक, लिख नई गजल नई दुआ की तरह, लिख नई गजल नई दुआ की तरह। देखता है कोई तुझे भी खुदा की तरह, खुदा की तरह। ओ देखता है कोई तुझे भी खुदा की तरह, खुदा की जाने चले वो किस ओर है,
हवा कहीं एक कमजोर है, जाने चले वो किस ओर है।
मिले अगर वो सहमी सी हया की तरह, मिले अगर वो सहमी सी हया की तरह। साथ हो चल तू भी उसके रहनुमा की तरह, रहनुमा की तरह। साथ हो चल तू भी उसके रहनुमा की तरह, रहनुमा की तरह। त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव, त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव, त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव
A big welcome to all to Vibha's Ray of Light Gala 2020. I'm Nisha Mathur. In Martin Luther King's own words from his famous I Have a Dream speech from 1963, he said, "With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope." Every child, too, has a dream. A little kid may have a little dream about a doll or a teddy bear, a candy or a book, or the girl who wants to be a children's doctor, the boy who wants to be an engineer or a chef. Every child deserves a chance to dream, imagine, plan, enjoy, and tell their story. Children are our future. Tomorrow's world depends on our kids' dreams coming true today. But for many kids without access to education, their dreams may never be realized. But believe me, these dreams will also never be forgotten. As Martin Luther King wished, we can hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. Vibha has been carving at this mountain for hope and the understanding that kids need a fair chance in life. Education is the most powerful tool to change the world. Let's educate children together, because at the end of every successful day, Vibha brings kids one step closer to reaching their potential. The doors have been shut for way too long for many of these kids, and it's time to open these doors and lead them to find their place in society and achieve a better future. This evening, let's start the spark and support Vibha's mission to support 10 million children in 5 years. It is my honor now to introduce you to our esteemed Consulate General, Mr. Randhir Jaiswal. Ambassador Jaiswal is a familiar face amongst the diplomatic community and the vast Indian American diaspora in the tri-state area. He joined the Indian Foreign Service in 1998 and has over 2 decades of diplomatic career. He's been posted in Portugal, Cuba, South Africa, and he is no stranger to New York, as he worked earlier as a counselor at the Permanent Mission of India to the United Nations in New York. His priorities include nourishing and strengthening the already strong bonds between India and the U.S., and exploring new areas of cooperation and relationship in the diverse fields. Consulate General Jaiswal noted that the Indian-American story is one of peace and progress, as well as a story of sharing and caring for others.
Namaste, warm greetings from the Indian Consulate here in New York. On the occasion of the annual Gala of Vibha, I convey my wishes to all its supporters, donors and volunteers. Vibha and all of you are doing excellent work. In all these years, you've reached out to millions of people and children here in India to educate them and to empower them. You are indeed doing a noble or serving a noble purpose. Your efforts have empowered people, have educated people, and have made them to prosper and progress. And there is no better tool than to educate, to empower people. It has been our experience in India and elsewhere in the world that education is such a powerful tool that can change lives forever. That has been my experience. Education has played a key role in my own journey of life. I once again urge you to come forward and support Vibha in their effort and in their initiative. And I deeply appreciate all that you're doing for the benefit of people here in the United States and as much in India. Your contribution will go a long way in giving a life of hope to those who are marginalized. Enjoy the gala. All the very best.
I'd like to make you all aware of the powerhouse buttons on the bottom of your screen, which are very important to tonight's gala. First of all, of course, our donate button. We're counting on all of you for your support tonight, and our live dashboard is showing over $184,000 of donations, and we know that this is just going to go up throughout this evening. We have a matching donation of $20K, and I'll keep you posted throughout the evening as to where we stand on that. We also have an auction button, which ends on Sunday, December 13th. There are some really, really neat items on there, including sports memorabilia, paintings, vacation experiences, and personally signatured books by Vikas Khanna. So make sure you check it out and get some of your favorite items off our auction. We also have our Vibha brochure, which will tell you about the evening and about Vibha, and our gala dashboard with live numbers. And I can't tell you, ladies and gentlemen, how exciting that is as we see those numbers rising, and we're going to see them rise even more throughout this evening with your support. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I now have the honor to introduce you to a man who has taken on the mission to educate children through powerful, targeted action. Anurag Baer is the CEO for Azim Premji Foundation, Chief Sustainability Officer of Wipro Limited, and Vice Chancellor, Azim Premji University. Mr. Baer believes strong public education strengthens economic growth. For over a decade, he has led programs and collaborated with state policymakers across India to make significant and impactful improvements, benefiting students and teachers in more than 350,000 schools. Azim Premji's university's programs focus on teacher education and development.
Good evening, good morning, volunteers of Vibha, supporters of Vibha, and donors of Vibha. It is absolutely heartening to learn that you are supporters of public education. That's because public education is the foundation of a vibrant democracy. Public education is truly that social process, that social mechanism, that set of institutions which can build a good society, a society that is just, equitable, and humane. The Indian public education system is much talked about. Too often do we talk about the problems and the limitations of the Indian public education system. And that is true, that the Indian public education system is plagued by many problems, many limitations. But then what we tend to forget is that over the past 30-40 years, Indian public education has made massive strides. Absolutely massive strides. If you look at this country today, anywhere, the most distant of villages, the most complex of terrains, you will find a public school, what in India we call government schools. Any system which is as complex, as embedded in society as public education, we cannot definitively say that these are the exhaustive list of problems. So let's touch upon a few. First, the fact of the matter is that we are under-investing in public education. From 1968, we've been committing that we'll invest 6% of our GDP in public education, and we have not done that. It's roughly about 3%. And in that context, it is truly important to note that the National Education Policy 2020, which has been approved by the Union Cabinet and is actually now on the path to implementation, can be truly transformational. How can it be transformational? There are many aspects, many dimensions. Let me just mention three. First is the absolute clear focus on the teacher. And as I mentioned before, if there's one problem that plagues the Indian education system deeply, it's this matter of the teacher. How we don't value teachers, how we underinvest in them. And the National Education Policy 2020 is giving teacher the central place, the place that the teacher really has in education. And it's giving that central place, and you can see that in any of the many dimensions that the policy really is focused on. Let's take a few. It's truly transforming the teacher education system of the country. And those of you who are familiar with Indian education, you'd know that what is called the B.Ed, the D.Ed system, the system that prepares teachers, that is totally dysfunctional. And the policy is unambiguous in confronting this shambolic teacher education system and committing to an absolute grounds-up overhaul of that system. Second, it's absolutely clear that the teacher must be empowered. It is important that we change the culture of the system. It is important that the teacher has the autonomy to be practicing good education. So the policy's clear, absolutely clear commitment and focus on the teacher through its many dimensions will be transformative. Second, and this might seem something very simple, but it truly is what is really required today. The policy commits to ensuring that the basics are met. What are the basics? The basics range from making sure that the schools have toilets which have running water, that the textbooks that are supposed to be delivered in May or June are delivered in May and June, that the midday meal that is supposed to be given to children is actually happening with the kind of nutritious quality that it's supposed to be there, that, even more importantly, that adequate number of teachers are appointed, that it is not such that the teacher who has never ever in her life studied mathematics beyond class 8 is forced to teach mathematics in class 9 and 10. So what I am calling the basics, we often take it for granted, but that is not there in our country. And the policy clearly commits to making sure that all these basics happen. Third, the third one is, in my mind, absolutely central to the potential transformation of our education, and which is that the policy commits clearly, and commits clearly not in the sense of abstract notions, but in the sense of concrete actions, that the culture of our education system must be changed. And it must be changed from pedagogically, it must change from being this rote-focused to an education system that really enables, it develops the multiple qualities, the multiple dispositions, the multiple values, the multiple capacities of all students. And these capacities, dispositions, they're not just cognitive, but ethical, emotional, physical, and social. And therefore, we must remember that our support is best given in a manner where we are supporting the experts to make good education happen. And the most important experts are the teachers. So, what is it that you and I, what is it people like us, what is it that the billion citizens of this country can do to help public education? The first thing which you already are doing to express commitment It might sound very strange. Why is the expression of commitment to public education such an important thing? It is so important because over the past few decades, the importance of public education has gone down in the public discourse. Somehow, we have started believing that private schooling can replace public education, that private schooling can be a solution to India's educational problems, and which is not correct at all. So your expression of commitment to public education, I think, is the first and the most important step in many senses. The second, and it relates to the first one, the second is let us recognize, honor, celebrate the remarkable work that our public school teachers do in this country. I think there are hundreds and thousands of public school teachers who are facing the most challenging of circumstances. Social circumstances, physical circumstances, terrains of impossibility, lack of resourcing, and they're doing an extraordinary job. Third, as I mentioned before, the public education system is starved of resources, absolutely starved of resources. While the government, both the union government and the state governments, must ensure that their investments happen and they are targeted at the right matters, you and I, if we can pool resources, if we can collect resources, and we can then target them sharply towards the matters that are needed, not in some grand systemic manner. It's quite all right if we do this for a single school, or for 20 schools, or for a block, or for a district. It's quite possible that what the school needs is lab equipment. It's quite possible that what the school really needs is help to be able to engage with the village outside. So resources that we get, resources that we pool, the resources that we collect, they must be targeted well. And it might seem as though this is a small thing, but when you go down really to a school, a child, a teacher, a community, this makes an enormous difference. It changes the lives of people forever. So you, your friends, your family, people like you out there who are committed to the idea of public education, your expression of commitment, your honoring of teachers, and your collection of resources which are targeted well can truly help in the agenda that is ahead of us to transform Indian public education so that actually we can bring to life all those values that we have committed to ourselves in the Constitution of India in 1950. And thus, we'll have a just, equitable, humane, and sustainable society. Thank you so much. I wish all of you the very best. And it is an absolute pleasure to hear of the work that you've been doing.
Vibha's official vision has been to ensure that every child gets his right to education, health, and opportunity. Vibha's unofficial vision is to not exist at all. It might sound to be a shocker, but what it means is our goal is to exit when the job is done.
10 years ago, if you were to walk into this classroom, you would have probably found a handful of kids. Today it's packed with kids excited to engage and learn. And if you were to ask me what brought about this change, I would say motivation.
Our focus has always been the government schools in the rural areas. That's primarily because of the fact that rural India is where the real India is. Currently, the Prerana model is implemented across 50,000 schools, impacting about 3 million children.
At the end of the day, when I saw children playing the game that I used to play in my childhood, that is when I realized that this is what is needed. We are restoring their childhood. So that is my very first memory of making a difference.
That's it. We exist for the children.
In Shikshana, starting around 2004, when we started working on the motivation angle, By around 2007, we knew that motivation does work, and it was tested in a handful of schools. But a time came when the whole idea was to scale up this model across the state. We wanted to test it out at a unit level. Vibha stepped up to the plate and said they would fund the entire block. So with help of Vibha, we were able to test out the model across an entire taluk for the next 2 years. And along the same time, we were very keen on understanding how this model would eventually scale out in the larger context of India. And we wanted to try out the model at the very initial stages in other states. And again, here is where Vibha came in, and in a very big way, and started a program called an outreach program. So with Vibha's help and their partner NGOs, we were able to assemble about 20 NGOs pan-India to come to Bangalore, understand our model, and a couple of them went back and started implementing them in Andhra and Gujarat. And the third aspect was we were constrained to South Karnataka most of that time, and we really wanted to step up and get into North Karnataka. Again, in this point, Vibha had set up a foundations team out in US who were able to market Shikshana on their own, and were able to get us some big donors like Yahoo Foundation, Juniper Networks, and all of that really helped us to prove this model across an entire district in North Karnataka, which really caught the attention of the education department. We launched a new program called the Accelerator. So here what the model would work is, whatever our Shikshana staff mentors were doing, we were asking the department CRPs, so they are the cluster resource people, who are in charge of a set of schools to actually go and run the program. And we looked for a donor who can do this at this level. And once again, Vibha came in and helped us out in that. So it was that actually made a significant impact, because the state secretary, when he understood that pretty much the entire program in a district was being run by his own officials, in the system, and we were just being a facilitator, they said, okay, we are willing to pilot this in 2 districts, where the government would not just give us their machinery, but also would start funding some of the physical inputs that was going into the schools, like the workbooks and stars and things like that. So that was a turning point, and now the only place where Shikshana would be involved would be in the knowledge transfer. So again, Vibha stepped up and funded the entire knowledge transfer cost for these 2 districts, and we piloted this in 2016-17, which within 6-7 months actually started showing such a positive impact that the department came back and asked if we could do a little bit more than that. When Vibha came in and said, money should not be a constraint. If you think you can scale, go ahead and scale, and we will be there for you. And that gave me the confidence to go and approach the state, and the department agreed to our proposal of taking this statewide, in which the 43,000 schools across the state will get all of the Shikshana inputs, funded entirely by the government, and we from our side will only enable knowledge transfer, and monitoring mechanisms will be put in place over the next 3 years. So this is such a significant step for us in Shikshana, because this is what we started off in 2003-4 time frame, was to create a model which can be handed over to the state as their own, and they will run it on their own. And we have reached this milestone in 2017, and we are extremely happy that Vibha has been a partner all along and will continue to do so.
Michelin star chef Vikas Khanna needs no introduction. We've seen him on TV and film. We've rushed to buy his cookbooks, patronized his unique restaurants that are famous for robust Indian and Asian flavors, applauded his humanitarianism. Vikas has truly revolutionized Indian cuisine on international platforms. And now Vikas has stepped out of the kitchen to give back to communities. Stemming from his humble beginnings, he's a man with a focused vision to help those in need. Chef Vikas Khanna was the mastermind behind the Feed India campaign, the food drive in which he fed 20 million meals to Indians who were stuck in lockdown during the coronavirus pandemic. Vikas, thank you so much for being here today. It is truly an honor to chat with you. You have just done so much and really broken the boundaries all around you to take your talent and your vision so far to help communities. And just want to welcome you, first of all.
Thank you. I'm proud to be here. The day before yesterday, we crossed 55 million meals.
Wow. Oh my gosh, 55 million meals. Incredible. How would you like to address our audience today for our Vibha Gala?
Hi everyone, I'm Chef Vikas. I'm just hearing an introduction always makes me feel that, is that me? You know, it's like I feel someone else is working for me and I just get to enjoy the accolades. But thank you for joining us. This means a lot. And this is a great opportunity when we come together to discuss these kind of subjects.
Because I'd like to take it back to the beginning when you were a kid. Tell us how your grandmother inspired your love for cooking.
She's the one who believed in me. And, you know, I was not a smart kid in school at all. And actually that, because we don't have this kind of culture in which we want to discuss why the child is not doing well in school. But I would fail from second grade, third grade, fourth grade. I failed in every class. And there was no one I could reach out to tell them because, you know, I was not born like regular kids. I was extra special. That's what.
Yes.
Come home being bullied in school or classrooms and you know, sometimes beaten up, marks still on the body. My grandmother used to tell me that, you know, see, they can only shout at you, they can only insult you, humiliate you, but they can't make a round chapati, can they? And I said, no, nobody can. Not like you, just look at that. And she'll distract all that pain and all that, for a child, that's insecurity these things create. Because you don't look like everyone, you don't behave like everyone. And I'll focus just on a perfect round bread. And she'll be so proud. She said, see, how can you be inferior than them? And I thought that is something which was very important to me, that somebody was there to constantly support me and to make me more resilient and to make me understand that it's okay not being able to do everything, like in physical education and all those classes I couldn't attend, like all the kids. She's saying you have a different way of representing yourself. And I think that more than the cooking, that thing stuck in my head that I have to fight for everything. I have to constantly practice. And I think that is why she's been the most important single person, more than her mother.
Wow.
Her mother says the same thing too, that we had given up on you. How can a child be so dumb? In maths, he gets 0 every year. And she said, it's okay. You don't have to worry about these subjects. These subjects have helped no one. I'm like, my father will say, don't encourage him. Then he shouldn't be going to school now. It was like a typical middle-class family who had lesser things, but love was in abundance.
And is that what eventually inspired you to pursue cooking professionally?
You know, I was very fortunate to be born in Amritsar. And I had the opportunity to see the magnitude of cooking and see the intensity and the roots of cooking from Golden Temple. And I think that is every time you went there and you saw, you know, you sometimes went to give the first bag of wheat or vegetables from the farms. You know, it's the whole kitchen at that time. I'm talking about 45 years ago, 50 years ago almost now. It's like they would run on everybody in the city contributes. Right. And that made me understand that imagine the intelligence or the intellect of the gurus, of the teachings, where everyone contributes a grain. There's no one who's hungry. And those things would motivate me so much. And I'm like, wow, look at the power they have. Extremism. Like anybody can go and eat, anybody cooks, everyone cleans, everyone shares, everyone serves, and then you get fed. And my grandmother would say that, you know, when you go to langar and having the prasad, it does not complete the cycle. You interrupt the cycle if you don't give it back. And that basic root cause of my entire career, that whole thing, that this circle would not be complete. If you just go there and being served, you've got to find a way to serve them back.
Right. So the giving back started already back then. Huh?
If for a small kid, this was like, for me, it was a hiding place. I did not know that my career would be on this scale. And I'm honest about that.
Mm-hmm.
And we never thought that. But it was like, more you got kicked, more you understood that you got to become more resilient. You've got to be, and, we were not born learning English. Most of us, in Punjab, we still primarily speak Punjabi, not even Hindi so much. So it was a tough thing getting onto the city levels and then the state levels and the national levels and then eventually to an international scales. The basic root was the foundation was very strong, which came from the true teachings from the gurus. That's what I say. The basic foundation it could not be moved.
And Vikas, I think everyone out there faces some kind of a challenge. And you know that better than anyone else because you have overcome so many challenges. What would you like to say to someone out there who may feel like giving up?
I think challenges are extremely important. We do not value success. If sometimes success comes to us without the challenges, and we don't value it, and it doesn't stay too long too. So sometimes we feel that those roadblocks, or we say those people who come and stand in the middle of you, and people who set you up for failure, they are extremely important. How will you know your strength? If it was that easy, everyone could have done it. So I think that's important to always remind ourselves that these are the people who are creating this. Sometimes I call them predators in sometimes, right? They're necessary. Sometimes people are setting you up for failure, but that is when your true spirit has to shine and you have to overcome that. It is necessary, not just in the field of cooking, but in every form of arts or survival.
And you're a true example of that. So a lot to learn.
Work in progress.
Because I have to ask you, of course, about this Feed India campaign.
Yes.
Tremendous, like I mentioned to you earlier, tremendous is an understatement for this campaign. Tell us about the campaign and tell us how it ties into Vibha's mission of just uplifting the community.
So, we all know what Vibha does and their mission of supporting the communities. Exactly about the cycle of food, which I said. It is not, the cycle does not complete when you just take. The cycle is complete when you actually share. So Vibha is doing exactly the same. It's an inspiration for us to share, where we are not complete when a part of us is not rising or not fully potentially understanding what our kids can do. And for me, that's why Vibha is very close to my heart, because of the mission that from the grassroots, we got to educate our kids. This is how we empower our societies. And I think Feed India is very similar, that there will be times in our life when we will fall. And that is what happened during this pandemic. The pressure of this pandemic was very high. And I thought, having a kind of network in India and having a network in America, I'll be able to pull it off. But trust me, it was not easy. Every day was a new challenge. And for me, the thing came from my mom when I gave up on 11th of April because somebody just disappeared with a truck of ration.
Oh.
Ration, when we say, we mean dry goods, lentils,
Right.
rice, sugar, tea, spices, flour. This is what you call dry ration. So somebody just disappeared near Bangalore, and I got so frustrated. I'm telling my mom that I can't do that. She's saying, remember? And she just, I don't know what happened to her. I just told her, it was early morning in Amritsar, and she said, you remember when and burn yourself? And we all said, he should not cook. And your grandmother said, these scars are his beauty. It's necessary that he continues. This is the only thing I see him. He's happy doing it. So let him do it. He will learn. That's how he'll learn. And did you stop? I said, no. He's saying exactly, think this was a small burn. But you can't stop. Don't tell me, because I'm watching the news right now. I don't want to see that my son has even if you can feed few people. I'm looking at the television and seeing what's happening in India with the migrant workers, and the whole pandemic the hunger is one of the biggest things right now in the country.
Absolutely.
And he said that at least I would feel my son is trying his best, not giving up. She's saying the entire country has contributed to your success. Every person has contributed, and we cherished and we We celebrated your success and we cried when you failed. This is your duty to feed India. You're not doing any favor to anyone. So I think that thing what Vibha does is as a duty, giving back home. This is what my mother said that time. And I'm glad I still listen to her every single day, twice a day actually. But that day she was a little harsh and she apologized to me later. She's saying, that day I felt that my son has every facility, every opportunity. He has a stage to do this. And if he doesn't do it, I'll be heartbroken.
Aww.
And that is when I felt, no, this has to be done to highest integrity. And that is when we figured out the format that we need to get big sponsors on board. But I think once the New York Times did the cover story, we had major sponsors from East and West who came on board and they started donating, especially food companies. And I had the right network to actually give it to the people who actually needed it at that time. So we used all our privileges, all our contacts, all our platforms together to make this to reaching out to 55 million is not a small number.
Unbelievable, Vikas. And we're so happy that you didn't give up because you have made a difference in the lives of so many.
That's what I say. I was just following the orders. Even when I open a restaurant, I always say, I'm just a caretaker. My mom is the owner. I'm just a caretaker. So as a guardian, I disassociate myself from the ownership and I'm just a guardian. So I feel that I have more skin in the game because somebody has taken me as a guardian and I have to perform. As an owner, sometimes we step back and saying, there are people working here. So I think for every project which I've done, I feel that I'm the guardian of this project came to me. And I think that's interesting. The Feed India had its own challenges. Like it was a tough journey for them.
I can imagine. And that too remotely.
In Midtown East in New York.
Yeah.
And this is how I did the entire campaign, sitting in the, and it was painful because I had to change my first body clocks. And then I did not stop since April 11th.
Wow.
Not even for 1 second, I blinked or I was not alert of what was going on and where we could help.
Amazing, Vikas. We are so proud of you for doing this, and hats off. On a final note, Vikas, what would you like to say to our audience today on how they can support Vibha and why?
I think Vibha's mission of reaching out to 10 million kids in 5 years, it's absolutely doable. It's doable because I can say that because I did one of the world's largest food drive almost single-handedly. Because when people start believing in the cause, when people start connecting with you and say, you know what, this part we can take care of. 100,000 kgs rice, we give it to you. We give you the flour, we give you the sugar, we get the spices, we get the sanitary pads and the slippers and the bananas, and we will give you the kitchens. So if society has to make a change, it cannot happen without solidarity. It cannot happen. So today we have an opportunity that we have to complete that cycle. And I feel that Vibha helps me to complete that cycle of, because the people who contributed to my education, and I feel it is our duty to get back to them and complete someone else's education so that we not only create artists, we create the next line of Michelin star chefs, Oscar winners and Grammy winners. And it takes the entire society to create those artists.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Vikas. It was a pleasure speaking with you. I could go on and on. I mean, I could hear you for hours because everything you say and everything you do is so inspiring. And we have a lot to learn as society from you. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Sunita Wadhwani from New York Life Insurance. Today, I would like to recognize Mr. Parvinder Singh Arora, who was one of the 35 community members from across the nation honored for demonstrating exceptional community service in response of the COVID-19 pandemic. As recognition for his contributions to the community, he selected Vibha to receive the New York Life Foundation's Love Takes Action Award and a $50,000 general support grant from the New York Life Foundation. Parvinder's dedication and commitment to assist anyone in need for help is what makes him an incredible example of love in action. I would like to thank Parvinder for his contributions to the community and present this $50,000 check on behalf of New York Life Foundation to Vibha so they can continue their work to support the community during these difficult times. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Parvinder Singh Arora. I work for ADP and I have been in Atlanta for the last 15 years with my family. I'm deeply humbled for the Love Takes Action Award. I want to sincerely thank you, Sunita Wadhwani, for the nomination, and thank you, New York Life Foundation, for the recognition. During the pandemic, I was sure that I'm not going to sit at home and watch those numbers. And I'm so happy and I'm so glad many organizations like Access Life America, Seva Gurdwara, Vibha, they all came together and supported these endeavors. And I'm very glad, very happy to select Vibha for this award. I sincerely hope this grant will help them continue their projects in the field of child education. Thank you very much.
Great. Go.
Hi, my name is Durgesh Das. I'm CEO of Vibha. We at Vibha are grateful for the New York Life Foundation's investment in our organization and their vision of encouraging community members to transform their love into action, especially in current times in the middle of a pandemic. This grant will change the lives of many underprivileged children and their families for the better. We sincerely thank Sunita Wadhwani, Corporate Vice President of New York Life, for recognizing Parvinder Singh Arora for his volunteer work in community during COVID-19. Thank you, Parvinder. Thank you, Sunita. And thank you, New York Life Foundation.
Ladies and gentlemen, we can really feel the support of all of you out there. So please, please continue to show your love for these children and their futures with your donations. Also, I'd like to remind you about our auction button, which has some very, very interesting items on there for you to check out. So make sure you check out our auction. We have an autographed picture of Sachin Tendulkar, an autographed cricket ball from Virat Kohli. We have personalized autographed books by Vikas Khanna, who you just heard, a simply inspirational person in every sense of the word. So we have a lot of interesting things and we really hope you'll check it out. And now, ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your seats because we have a musical extravaganza coming right up.
Hi everybody, this is Karthik Raman.
This is Hema Nair.
And we will be performing live for all of you.
As most of you know, Vibha means ray of light. And with our performance this evening, we hope to bring lots of light into your lives.
Hi, my name is Pranil Naik. I am the founder and chief executive of Leap Forward. We are a Mumbai-based non-profit organization working towards making English learning accessible for all children studying in regional language schools and coming from regional language communities from the villages and small towns across India. We hear all the talk about India becoming the next economic superpower. Many amongst us have benefited from a prosperity. Why? Because we could access professional education. Yet, vast majority amongst us have been untouched by this development. Professional education in India is available only in English. Nearly 200 million kids go to school in India. Of these, 70% study in government-run free regional language schools. Why regional language? Because there aren't enough English fluent teachers in our villages. If we want to come out of the poverty trap, education is the only route. And what kind of education? Education which gives you jobs. Professional education. And professional education available only in English. So, how do we teach a language without having enough teachers fluent in it? We believe we have a solution. In India, we have hundreds of different languages. But the beauty is, almost all these languages originate from a single source called Sanskrit, which means while these languages differ from each other in their vocabulary, they are very similar in their grammar structures. And all these languages differ from English in a set pattern. What if we were to have rules for these patterns and we could deliver these rules in the regional language? You know what would happen? English could be delivered in your regional language. The idea is pretty radical. English can be taught in Marathi, Hindi, Gujarati, Kannada, Odia, Bengali, and the purist will be up in arms. But at Leap Forward, we have experienced and hence believe that this solution could actually challenge the English illiteracy status of India. Let me give you an example. The letters T-I-O-N are always pronounced as shun in English. As a result, the word M-E-N-T-I-O-N is not a 7-letter word. It's a 3-letter word called men and a character whose sound is shun. On top of these rules and techniques, we built the English literacy program. It took us 10 years, by the way. So far, we have reached out to 20,000 students through more than 2,000 teachers. We want to bring this opportunity to the 140 million kids from the non-English speaking India. Imagine the potential that we will unleash in the world when 140 million of our kids are able to overcome the barriers of English and access professional education.
Hello everyone, I'm Dheer Chingran, founder and CEO Language and Learning Foundation, LLF. We are really happy to be associated with Vibha Foundation and to have this opportunity today to be talking to all of you about LLF's work. Several surveys, including the National Achievement Survey, ASR, have shown that young children in grades 1 to 5 do not acquire the basic foundational literacy and numeracy skills that are essential for all future learning.
Today we work with 7 state governments with medium-term MOUs, and we have been able to influence teaching and learning practices of 150,000 teachers and 3 million students in these 7 states. LLF works on a 3-pronged strategy. You can see the 3 pillars here. The first is continuous professional development, not just of teachers, teacher educators, administrators, everyone in the public education system on the importance and strategies of foundational learning. We also demonstrate school-level programs to show how transformation can be achieved in teaching and learning outcomes at the school level, and then support the state governments to scale up these projects. And as you can see, the last pillar, which is very important for us, is to support the state government in a number of systemic reforms that can help sustain the impact of these programs. We are really happy to be collaborating with Vibha Foundation in Chhattisgarh. The specific project which we are currently collaborating on is called NEEV in a district called Durg, as you can see from the map here. And the focus is on transforming teaching and learning process in 200 schools to help improve the learning of 12,000 children in grades 1 to 3 in the next 2 or 3 years.
Most of the teachers who've done our courses have actually learnt a lot, and they are implementing a lot of changes in their classroom.
पहले मैं परंपरागत विधि से ही कक्षा अध्यापन का कार्य करते थे, तो ये यांत्रिक प्रक्रिया थी जिसमें बच्चे बोर हो जाते थे। परंतु इस कोर्स के करने से ये फ़ायदा हुआ, हमें पता चला कि कक्षा में अगर बैलेंस पद्धति से पढ़ाया जाए तो बच्चे बहुत जल्दी सीखते हैं।
Normally what happens in teacher education is that we lump all the teachers together and everybody tends to get the same kind of training programs. This course is tailor-made and is bound to help people who want to make a mark in this area of early language and literacy.
Hi everyone, this is Vikas Khanna, and I'm super proud what Vibha is doing. What an amazing vision. I think reaching out to the grassroots of that, the foundation of every development in the country is happening through education. Illiteracy has its own curse, and which will never let our country develop in many ways. But education also helps give opportunities to many more people. And today we are all privileged that because of our education as a foundation, we could have these stepping stones in our life. So I want to request everyone that to match the $40,000 donation. And I think a vision of a foundation which is so strong, it's worth supporting.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you all once again for joining us this evening. I can really feel the positive vibes from all of you, and I know these vibes will translate into support for our children. Please take a moment to show your support and help us towards Vibha's mission to reach and move the lives of 10 million children in 5 years through the power of education. We truly appreciate your support. And now I have the honor to introduce you to a man whose roots take us back to his hometown, a village in the Himalayas in India. Jay Chaudhary did not have electricity or running water until he was in the 8th and 10th grade respectively. But what Jay did have were visionary parents. They were farmers whose vision extended beyond the boundaries of the fields as they taught their son the importance of ethics, integrity, and encouraged Jay to study. Jay experienced the first spark in his trajectory for success when he attended IIT for electronics engineering. And in 1980, Jay boarded a plane for the first time to make his way to the U.S. to attend graduate school at the University of Cincinnati. After that, he blazed a trail of success. Jay Chaudhary went on to build a $10 billion business. As an accomplished entrepreneur, he founded a series of successful companies and is the CEO and founder of Zscaler, a cybersecurity company. He's a risk taker with a team-focused approach. Ladies and gentlemen, the man behind the magic, Jay Chaudhary.
Hello, my name is Jay Chaudhary. I'm CEO, Chairman, and founder of Zscaler. It is my honor to speak with you. Let me start with greeting to Vibha's supporters and volunteers. Education is a great noble cause, and I applaud Vibha for driving this. Education plays a very important role in enabling a brighter future for children. In fact, I can start with my own story. I can share with you how education has impacted my life. I'm a lucky product of American dream. I had the good luck of founding, funding, and running 5 successful startups. Currently, I run Zscaler. It's a leader in cloud security. We went public in March of 2018, and we have a market cap of about $20 billion. We have over 5,000 enterprise class customers, out of which 25% are global 2,000 companies. These are the largest companies, the Siemens, the GE, and Shell of the world. Zscaler has some 2,500 employees, and out of which about 1,000 employees are based in India. And the 3 big locations for us in India are Bangalore, Chandigarh, and Pune. I would tell you that I would like to say that whatever I have achieved and whatever I hope to achieve, the credit of all this goes to my education. I did all of my schooling in public schools in India, and that education started in my tiny village in Himachal Pradesh. Let me give you a little bit more insight into my personal journey. I was born in this tiny village with 800 people in district Una in Himachal Pradesh. My village had 800 people. My parents were small-scale farmers. We had a primary school in the village, a small school, with 3 teachers for 5 classes. We had only 2 classrooms, so 3 classes sat under a peepal tree. And our day started with students going and fetching water from the village well so the school could drink water during the day. Especially in summer, it used to be hard because the water will get really, really hot. After primary school, I went to high school in my neighboring village, which was a couple of miles away. It's fun to look back. In winter, our classes were held outside in the playground because the inside is rather cold. With good teachers, my headmaster was especially good. G.L. Sharma or Gardhari Lal Sharma. He took a lot of interest. He helped me with my English quite a bit. I had a number of other good teachers, Subhash Dubey, Arna Dubey. They helped me in many, many areas. All these teachers were great inspiration. In fact, I've gone back to my village every couple of years, and I saw my headmaster every time I went to Una, till he passed away a couple of years ago. I enjoyed studies. I worked hard, and I got 3rd rank in the state of Himachal in my 10th grade. So all these successes really drive you to get ahead, to really drive more, push more. Then for my pre-university, which is like the 11th grade, I went to a local government college in Una district. Una is the headquarters for my village. And with the help of good teachers, I got 1st rank in the entire University of Himachal. And that led me to join IIT BHU for engineering. So I graduated from IIT BHU with BTech in electronics engineering. Like many students at that time, I moved on to the US to get my master's in electrical and computer engineering, and I joined University of Cincinnati, Ohio, because they offered me scholarship. Otherwise, there's no way I could afford it. Thanks to Tata, they had a special scholarship which allowed me to buy my plane ticket to fly out there. Excuse me. After getting my master's in electrical and computer engineering, I started to work. I got 2 masters part-time after that while working. One in industrial engineering and management, and second was MBA. So you can tell I love to study. I love to learn. Then I started working in the US, just like lots of students have done. And thanks to some of the great companies like IBM, NCR, Unisys, where I got a lot of training as a professional. IBM probably was a great company for sales training. After that, I moved to Atlanta, and in mid-90s, when internet was taking off, I started reading about it. I fell in love with it. So I learned everything I could find about doing a startup in internet area. And I started a company called Secure IT, securing your IT technologies. It's about internet security. Since we failed to raise VC funding, my wife and I decided to put our life savings on the line and fund this company. It became very successful, and eventually VeriSign bought it. What's very satisfying to me is that 70 of my 80 employees in Atlanta became millionaires because of this stock options. It's wonderful. It's a great feeling. Now I moved on to do 3 more startups. Core Harbor, an e-procurement ASP powered by Ariba software. Cipher Trust, an email security company. Air Defense, a wireless security company. Good luck, great teams, great timing, and lots of hard work. They all became quite successful. And eventually, like most startups, they got acquired. That leads me to 2007, early 2008. I was looking at the next move. I no longer wanted to do one more startup and sell it. I wanted to do something big. I wanted to do something lasting. And that's what took me to start Zscaler, which stands for Zenith of Scalability. Being a cloud company, I wanted this company to be able to scale as we grow business so I could build a lasting company. So what's my message to young entrepreneurs? Start dreaming, start thinking big, take some risks, develop passion for areas you like, and work hard to achieve it. Look, if I can do it, you can do it too. Education has enabled me to achieve all I have done. I got no private schooling. It was all government schools. Our quality wasn't outstanding, but it was reasonable. It did not stop me from really doing what I needed to do. In many ways, adversity is the mother of invention. Struggles make you strong. So don't look at some of these things as limitations. Look at some of these things as opportunities. I got to know Vibha over the years. Professor Jag Sheth, who is a good friend and mentor from Atlanta, he got me introduced to it. I like his model about seed, grow, and scale. It's a wonderful model. And also focusing on improving public education in partnership with government is a great model. I was looking at its 6 scalable and replicable programs. I thought they were great. 3 of them got my special attention. Motivation. Everything starts with motivation. When you like something, you get motivated, you can go places. Teacher development. I think we have some work to do in this area. We need teachers who are motivated, who are driven, who are hardworking, who like to learn, not teachers who take the job as if it's guaranteed. And digital will play a big role in future. So the focus on digital is very important. As I said before, I love education. After my retirement, one day, I hope to spend all of my energies in giving back to the country in the area of education. We do need to improve education in India at all levels because that is key for India to move ahead. That's critical for India to get out of the cycles of poverty. As I close, I would like to thank you all for inviting me. Best of luck in achieving your big goals for education in public schools. Thank you.
Vinitha Bali is former managing director of Britannia Industries. Currently, she's on the global boards and advisories across development and corporate sectors. Britannia's revenue tripled under her direction. She's been on Forbes' list of Asia's 50 powerful businesswomen. Vinitha Bali is a woman who dislikes being comfortable. Yes, that's right, because she wants to constantly challenge herself outside of her comfort zone. And that she's done. She's a force to reckon with, and she sheds light on gender diversity in the workplace as she says, let go from talking about glass ceilings to talking about open skies. Vinitha's not just a corporate tycoon, a role model for many, but also a woman who wants to give back and foster change with a perspective of social responsibility, encouraging us all jointly to make a difference. Vinitha, welcome, and we are so honored to chat with you today.
Thank you so much, Nisha, for that very kind and generous introduction. Looking forward to our conversation.
Absolutely. How would you like to address our audience today and welcome them?
I would say that, all of us are extremely fortunate to be part of this conversation. And the reason I say that is that anybody who is interested in education, in furthering the cause of education, in creating standards of excellence and all-rounded behavior amongst children in schools who are going to be the future not just of our country, but also of this planet, I think deserves kudos for the priorities that they have assigned to themselves, and really for doing all the things that will make a positive difference.
Absolutely. And speaking of children, Vibha's mission is focused on children and their dreams. What would you like to say as such a successful woman in so many different fields, actually, but what would you like to say to young entrepreneurs who have dreams?
Well, the first thing I would say is don't give up on your dreams. Have conviction in your dream. Couple that conviction with, hard work. As somebody said, dreams don't keep you awake. Dreams don't keep you awake at night. It is the hard work that goes with a dream that makes that dream come to fruition. So dream a lot. Think about how you want to convert that dream into reality. Be convinced, be assured. Don't be afraid of failing. Failing can either lead to success or it can lead to a very important lesson. And both are important and critical.
Many times, Vinitha, it's hard when things are not going as planned. How have you picked yourself up during these times?
I believe that you have to go with the flow. I think one of the false expectations we have is that we believe we are in control or we can control circumstances, situations, and events around us. The fact is, or the truth is, that we can't. So the best we can do is really to be adaptable, to be skillful in that adaptability, and to say that I know what my goal is. If this road doesn't take me there, I have to find some other road that is going to take me there.
Tell us what your definition of social responsibility is.
You can look at social responsibility from the perspective of an individual in society, from the perspective of a corporation or any institution. It doesn't really matter because all of us are microcosms of the larger ecosystem. And that larger ecosystem includes not just people, but includes, the birds, the bees, the animals, the trees, the plants, the mountains, the rivers, the oceans. And a life of social responsibility is a life that learns to live in harmony with our environment. As corporates, we can't go and throw effluent into the river and say, my social responsibility project is to clean the river, that I'm the one who has that I'm the one to have polluted. So therefore, social responsibility is about living your life as an individual who's part of an institution, etc., in such a manner that there is harmony and peace and a recognition that many things have to coexist for our planet to be in equilibrium. So climate change is not going to happen sometime in the future. Climate change is around us. Why are there so many forest fires? Why are there so many cyclones and tornadoes? Why is the temperature of this, our planet, rising every day? Why are people concerned about the Paris Accord? These are issues that all of us as individuals not only have to think about, but also to say, what is going to be our contribution in making this world, this planet, better than it currently is?
Absolutely, absolutely. And Vinitha, what would you like to say to our audience out there, as far as how everyone can jointly come together to make a difference?
Oh, absolutely. There isn't one big thing that is going to change, society or communities. It is the little acts that we do every day, the little acts of empathy, of compassion, of sharing, of being charitable to support those less fortunate than us, to be willing to reach out and give not just of your money, but also your time, your effort, your thinking. I think those are the things that will make a big difference in society, or that do make a big difference in society. And we have seen that societies that are empathetic, that are compassionate, that think about others just as much as they think about themselves, are societies which are more equitable. These are societies where people are happier, they live in greater harmony. There is overall progress, not just in economic terms, but also in social terms. Because at the end of the day, it's not about economic wealth alone. It is about how evolved we have become as people, how evolved we have become as a society. What do we respect? What do we value? Those are the questions that I think we have to ask and say, what is the future that we want to create for our children and their children and for generations to come?
Absolutely. And our future depends on these children. So it's up to us.
Our future also depends on actions that we take today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Vinitha. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
You're most welcome. It was great. Thank you.
Thank you,
Nisha.
Thank you.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here. You can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air, like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Here come bad news, talking this and that. Well, give me all you got and don't hold it back. Well, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Hey, hey, hey. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Hey, hey. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do.
He's the driving force, the face and spirit behind Nutanix. Dheeraj Pandey is founder and CEO of Nutanix, the cloud computing software company. Long before founding Nutanix in 2009, Dheeraj was already taking risks. He first traveled outside of India to attend a PhD program at the University of Texas in Austin. Yes, his first step towards changing his future came with a quest for education. He went on to founding one of the fastest growing startups in history.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you for giving your time to this gala event that Vibha has come to organize. Time and money are the only two resources we can invest, and time is the more precious of the two. Money, if anything, is an icing on the cake, a catalyst that hastens change. I want to talk about my own time in these next 6+ minutes. Going back to the 80s of my own childhood, 80s was a challenge and an opportunity of growing up in my home state, Bihar. And the power of reading and writing English, Hindi, and Sanskrit, learning an almost context-free grammar in Sanskrit, which I would later appreciate studying computer science and programming languages, learning the creation of Harivansh Rai Bachchan early on to appreciate the Sufi incantations and the philosophical undertones of, neo-romanticism. Learning from the teachers of Kerala the importance of math, science, and social sciences. Learning the command of English without making it a zero-sum game with Hindi. If anything, Bhojpuri and Magahi were just as important in making me a more gregarious person. There was this element of earthiness in Bhojpuri and Magahi that continues to keep me grounded even till today. Local dialects have that power to relate to the masses, which is quite invigorating. And finally, learning the importance of secularism and democracy and tolerance. That was my 80s. That's the remembrances I have of my school days. In the early and the mid 90s, the opportunity called IIT, the challenge called Bihar. Bihar continued to struggle, leaving Patna behind, Pune, Hyderabad, even Bangalore. Even though in the 1989 timeframe they were all first among equals in education. I remember the largesse of the Indian government in creating almost a $20 semester program that was world class at IITs. The importance of learning languages one more time. Although this time around it was programming languages. How do you learn to communicate with machines? How do you program them? How do you negotiate with them as you debug them? And so on. And of course, the importance of math and social sciences in an engineering curriculum. The late 90s, the opportunity called America, the challenge, continued to be Bihar. While the family struggled, there were constant donors for our cause, in our maternal uncles and my eldest maternal cousin, who would write me $1,000 check for applying to American universities. Like IIT Kanpur, UT Austin, University of Texas Austin, the CS program, was magnanimous in its fellowship, very much like every other American university where I had offers from. But there was a climax and a twist to the story. What they all couldn't solve for was my air ticket, which was still a lot of money for the family, almost $1,000. And this is where two very important donors, or as I say, givers, came in. Jain Tata Endowment Fund and KC Mahindra Education Trust. Between them, they gave me $3,000. I bought a ticket for $1,000. I left almost $1,000 my parents for their expenses and came to the US with $900. Having come to the US, I quickly finished my master's, dropped out of the PhD program because the finances back home was still top of mind for me, as Bihar continued to struggle with corruption and lack of economic progress. Schools, though, they continued to flourish, not just elementary, middle, and high schools, but also schools that stoked the hunger for students wanting to qualify competitive exams like IIT JEE and UPSC for civil services. And that was basically the early and the mid 90s. The last 2 decades, when I look back, Patna and Kanpur have continued to struggle these past 2 decades, but the linchpin of both societies continues to be education, with IITs and All India Institute of Medical Sciences, AIMS. They're coming to places like Patna. Education is the deodorant that continues to protect any society from complete decadence. Education now, at least in our lives, we have an emphasis on the girl child. We have twin girls who are 6. And that's what my wife and I have come to focus on, especially in computer science and life sciences. We recently started a graduate fellowship at UT Austin for women in AI. And we'd love to continue to do more for the girl child, as both of us are fervent egalitarians, passionate about equality and fairness in education and career at large. I exhort you to pick a purpose and think hard about education, as I believe it's the foundation of all ambition, all prosperity, and all sustainability. Thank you for your curiosity regarding progress. Bye.
टूटी चारपाई वही ठंडी पुरवाई रास्ता देखे दूधों की मलाई वही मिट्टी की सुराई रास्ता देखे
बन्नो रे बन्नो मेरी चली ससुराल को अखियों में पानी दे गई दुआ में मीठी गुड़ धानी ले गई
रे कबीरा मान जा रे फकीरा यूं न जा आजा तुझको पुकारे तेरी परछाइयाँ रे कबीरा रे कबीरा रे कबीरा रे बगीरा
दिल खो गया हो गया किसी का अब रास्ता मिल गया खुशी का रिश्ता नया रब्बा दिल छू रहा है खींचे मुझे कोई डोर तेरी ओर तेरी ओर तेरी ओर तेरी ओर है रब्बा तेरी ओर तेरी ओर तेरी ओर
तेरी ओर तेरी ओर तेरी ओर हाय रब्बा तेरी ओर तेरी ओर तेरी ओर मेरे दिल ने चुन लिया ने तेरे दिल दिया राह तू जो मेरे नाल तू रहता तुर पे मेरी असां जीना मेरा है हुण है तेरा कि मैं करा तू कर एतबार मेरा मैं करा इंतजार तेरा तू दिल तू यूं जान मेरी
काफिराना सा है इश्क है या क्या है ऐसे तुम मिले हो ऐसे तुम मिले हो जैसे मैं रही हूँ इत्र से हवा काफिराना सा है इश्क है या क्या है
जो तेरी खातिर तड़पे पहले से ही क्या उसे तड़पाना ओ जालिमा आंखें मरहबा बातें मरहबा मैं 100 मर्तबा दीवाना हुआ जिसकी हर धड़कन तू हो ऐसे दिल को क्या धड़काना हो जालिमा
उसने बात की कुछ ऐसे ढंग से सपने दे गया वो हजारों
पहला नशा पहला खुमार कुछ भी नहीं है ये जहां तू है तो है इसमें जिंदगी अब मुझको जाना है कहाँ के तू ही सफर है आखिरी
कि तेरे बिना जीना मुमकिन नहीं न देना कभी मुझको तू फासले मैं तुझको कितना चाहती हूँ कि तू कभी सोच ना सके
माबानी जगा मरे सगा मरे
पानी सदा गवारा पा
नींद का सौदा करे
एक ख्वाब दे एक ख्वाब ने शर्मा गई तो
आगोश में लो सांसों से उलझी रहे मेरी सांसें बोल हल्के हल्के बोल हल्के हल्के होंठ से हल्के हल्के बोल हल्के निपा मगर जानी बोल हल्के हल्के बोल हल्के हल्के होंठ से हल्के हल्के बोल हल्के.
Thank you so much, guys. That was a lot of love from our side to all of you for watching us there. And I hope we were able to bring smiles on your faces. The next song or songs which we are going to perform is a fun medley. And I'm really, really sure that you guys are going to have a lot of fun with us. So let's rock and let's have some Hamma Hamma. Let's go for it.
नारी रे शिकराम दिगड़े मगड़े आयो वे ओ एक हो गए हम और तुम तो उड़ गई नींदे रे और खन की पायल मस्ती में जो खन 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 के रे हम्मा हम्मा हे हम्मा 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 हे हम्मा 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 तुम पहली बार मिले तुम पे दम ये निकले तुम पे जवानी धीरे धीरे माथा मचले रे हम्मा 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 हे हम्मा हम्मा हे हम्मा 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 करता 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 तुम करता 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 तुम करता 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 चांदनी जैसा ये बदन जन्म मिला तुमको हमने सोचा था जैसा रूप तेरा आया नजर हमको ओ ओ ओ
सितम खुली खुली ये सनम गोरी गोरी ये बाहें करती है यूं हमें तुमने जब गले लगाया तो
हो ही गए हम तो हम्मा हम्मा हे हम्मा 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 हे हम्मा हम्मा हे हम्मा 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 एक हो गए हम और तुम तो उड़ गई तेरे और खन की पायल मस्ती में जो खन 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 के रहना हम्मा हम्मा हे हम्मा 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 हे हम्मा 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 हम्मा
करियो जैसा हुस्न जो पाया हर अदा में नूर है आया साथ मरे और सदा हत्थर घायल मेरे मधुरब को क्यों ऐसा बनाया
ओ गया पाला, अच्छे को गलत कर डाला तेरा, नहीं तेरा कोई दोष, दोष तेरा हुस्न ही जबरदस्त दस्त। तू चीज बड़ी है मस्त मस्त, तू चीज बड़ी है मस्त, तू चीज बड़ी है मस्त मस्त,
मैं चीज बड़ी हूँ मस्त।
पानी सा नी सा पानी बाबा गाबा पानी सा नी सा नी पानी सा पारे सा, ये दिल तेरी आंखों में डूबा, बन जा मेरी तू महबूबा, आशिक है तेरा नाम नाम, दिल लेना देना काम काम, मेरी बाहें मत थाम थाम, बदनाम है तू बदमस्त मस्त, तू चीज बड़ी है मस्त मस्त, तू चीज बड़ी है मस्त, ओ तू चीज बड़ी है मस्त मस्त,
मैं चीज बड़ी हूँ मस्त। चढ़ा जो मुझ पे जरूर है, असर तेरा ये जरूर है, तेरी नजर का कसूर है, आप पास आ तो क्यों दूर है, ये इश्क का जो फितूर है, नशे में दिल तेरे चूर है, अब तो होश ना खबर है, ये कैसा असर है, होश ना खबर है, ये कैसा असर है, तुमसे मिलने के बाद दिल भर, तुमसे मिलने के बाद दिल भर, दिल भर दिल भर दिल भर, हाँ दिल भर दिल भर, दिल भर दिल भर दिल भर, हाँ दिल भर दिल भर, दिल भर दिल भर दिल भर, हाँ दिल भर दिल भर, दिल भर दिल भर दिल भर, हाँ दिल भर दिल भर।
Okay, now we present the final song of the evening today. This is one of my original compositions. It's called Jao Jao, and it's a little upbeat, classical number. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's hear it.
जाओ 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 ना मैं बोलूं तो से 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 करत ढिठाई मुँह से पिहरवा करत ढिठाई मुँह से पिहरवा ऐसे ना सताओ जाओ 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 ना मैं बोलूं तो से जाओ 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 करते हो तुम काहे मुँह से डिटाई करते हो तुम काहे मुँह से डिटाई 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 करते हो तुम काहे मुँह से डिटाई बनी जाने जानी जानी बनी बम बम रे बनी म बनी जा बनी जाने बम रे जानी 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 बनी जाने जा करते हो तुम काहे मुँह से डिटाई जानी 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 जा बम रे जानी 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 बम रे जानी रे बम बनी ने बनी ने बनी जानी जानी जा बनी जानी जानी जा बनी जानी जानी जा करते हो तुम काहे मुँह से डिटाई तुम्हारी आस में रतियाँ बिताई आए अभी और आते ही जाने के ढूंढते हो काहे बहाने जाओ 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 ना मैं बोलूं तो से जाओ 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 ना मैं बोलूं
Thank you so much, everybody. I hope we were able to bring a lot of smile on all your faces. We all know that these are little difficult times, but definitely we all will sail through this. Have a great, great year ahead, and we wish you all a very happy new year. Love you all. Thank you so much. To support Vibha, which has been doing fantastic work since 1991 for empowerment of children, please donate generously. Each donation goes a long way in bringing a huge smile to the face of these wonderful kids.
Wow, what a night, ladies and gentlemen. Look at the results of your kindness, your effort, your contributions. We have crossed 200K this evening. And I just want to thank you all on behalf of Vibha for your support in helping to transform the lives of children through education. And maybe this doesn't have to stop here, because you can also inspire someone else to join our mission to reach 10 million children in 5 years. You're not just changing the lives of children, but of families and their communities with a ripple effect for generations. And during this holiday season, the season of giving, you have given the greatest gift of all, the gift of education. And this gift will become a powerful means to survival, recovery, and the restoration of dignity and self-reliance for children. Thank you all once again for your support, and please, let's continue this mission and our quest to bring smiles to the faces of these amazing children and brighten their future. Thank you all, and have a great night.